Mark Sneeve, how you doing?
Can you hear me, Russ?
I can hear you. You hear me?
What's going on, Kevin?
First time. First time on the Zoom.
Man, there's like a lot of echo, like reverb or something.
Yeah.
Does it sound like that to you?
I can turn it down a little bit. Yeah. There's a lot of it.
It's like a Halloween movie.
It is.
Hold on a second here.
I turned my volume down a little bit.
How are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Good, Jory. How are you?
Good. I just want to check something real quick. If I cue everything right, all right, and if can y'all see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Now, if I can find a way to toggle back so that I can unshare that and still, okay. Now you don't see it, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, we may stumble technically, but hey, we're all friends here, right? So there you go.
It's all good.
So what's going on out in the world today? It looks, I stepped out into my driveway for just a moment. It looks pretty fall-like and nice out there.
I'll take these days every day.
Oh,
sure.
me too.
This is my kind of weather right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
This year.
Took the family to Red River Gorge 2 weekends ago and no color at all. And I was like, man, all of a sudden, we just wait a week and boom, man, you know?
Yep.
I drove to Ashland yesterday. It was in full bloom.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, it's definitely getting to be full range color time. It should be in the certain zones anyway. We were over. I actually went on the Golly on the 19th of September in West Virginia, and it had I mean, you could already see over that way. It was starting to just barely starting to turn yellow, but I mean, that's been nearly a month. So
right. I got 3 huge pine trees in my backyard, and like they just turned yellow and started dropping their needles overnight. You know, it's crazy how fast that happens.
yeah. I got a pine, unfortunately, in my yard that must have some kind of blight. It's all looks like the last third of the top of it is alive, but that's about it at this point.
Yeah, a lot of times those lower hanging branches die off. You know, I guess it's to help it keep growing up. But ours kind of does the same thing. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I don't know if it's survivable or not. We'll see come springtime whether the tree man is going to come and take it away in the sprint with the spring debris.
Right.
We only had 5 minutes of wind here last night, but my power ended up being out for about 3 hours.
Really? 3 hours? Daggone.
Yeah, I've lived in this house for 19 years, and I guess for probably 17 of those, even 18 of those years, we had ice storm that year, and we had tons of things happen, and we never lost power.
Huh.
We lost power for about 24 hours in the summer one year. I guess that was my daughter's 8th birthday year. We came home from the skating rink to no power.
Oh man.
But
of course, the one time.
Yeah, but here in the last year, I don't know where LG&E put us, but we're in the non-reliable portion of the grid. I mean, a 5-minute wind blows up, and we're popped for. I mean, at least a temporary pop, but the last one we had when COVID first hit, and we were getting all that rain in the spring, I think we had one where there's probably 7 or 8 small outages in a afternoon. I mean, just
gone, man.
Just lit, but maybe just a few minutes at a time. But it just, I don't know what it is.
Having 2 little ones, man, I couldn't go that long without power. We'd have to go over to grandma and grandpa's house.
Yeah, that's right.
I couldn't hand that.
Yeah. Candles and stories are only entertaining for so long. Although the longer, the longer outages, I mean, you can actually play board games by candlelight, so that's good.
That's true. Yeah, we used to do that a lot back in the day.
There's some amount of fallback beyond the but I tell you what, it's electronic world, man. It all shuts down. You got no juice.
Oh, I know. I try so hard just to get them to read books. We read books every night, and do games and everything. But it somehow always gravitates to, Daddy, where's your phone?
Yep.
Where's a silly YouTube channel? I'm like, she gets on there, can swipe and do all that. I'm like, I never showed you that. How do you know this stuff? It's crazy, these kids, man.
All right.
Millennial world here we're living in.
Yep, funny world. All right. Well,
let's see here. Is Rachel, you with us?
Now.
Rachel, yeah, she's here.
All right. Well, I've got 1:30, and we've got a lot of material to cover today, so I think we'll go on and get started, Justin, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
All right. Rachel, I ask you to call the roll, if you would, please, and call this meeting to order at 1:30. Oh, you're still muted, Rachel.
There we go. Mr. Russ Rose.
Here.
Mr. Kevin Gibson.
Here.
Mr. Scott Treese.
Here.
Honorable Kevin Nuss. Mr. Keith Griffey.
Here.
Mr. Ronnie Fick. Mr. Arthur Jones.
Here.
Mr. Scott Fleming.
Here.
Mr. Jerry Kennedy. Mr. Jim Grunow.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Rainey.
Here.
Ms. Stephanie Laughlin.
Here.
Mr. Wesley Sidner. Mr. Tom Doyle. Mr. Pete Hedges. Mr. Melvin Phoenix. Mr. Keith Morris. Mr. Matt McAllister. Mr. Joey Bramblett. Mr. Jim Hoskins, Mr. Neil Martindale,
Here.
Mr. Mark Bates, Mr. Terry Roach.
Here.
Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Justin emailed out a copy of all the minutes, and hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to look over those. Once you have, we would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, if you would just, for Rachel, say your name when you make a motion.
Keith Griffey, so moved.
Thank you, Keith. And do we have a second?
I'll second that. Scott Treese.
Scott Treese, thank you, Scott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, any opposed? Seeing none, minutes are approved. So we've got Jory Becker here with us with Division Water. And Jory, I know we've got you where you set up where you can screen share, and I think you've got a presentation, and certainly glad that you're here with us today. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, Russ, I appreciate that. Rather than do a presentation, I am going to share the website, but I appreciate the division, you all KIPDA asking us and the council asking us to come and talk to you today. Specifically, Justin asked me to share, and you all, Russ, can you see that?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So asked me to talk about the LRC task force on water and wastewater infrastructure. So I'm going to kind of he only gave me about 10 minutes, and I'm going to self-monitor y'all. Anybody who knows me knows I can talk pretty much to about anything for any length of time that you want. So I'm going to keep this to about 10 minutes or so, try to. And but I'm going to run through kind of the genesis of what brought about the task force, what happened in the 19 interim, the recommendations, what's happening in the 20 interim, and then kind of where I see things for what is the foreseeable future. So today I just want to take you, this is you're viewing right now the main page of the task force, who's currently on there. This is a 2020 iteration of that. If you go over to the meeting materials and look in, it takes you to the page for this year and the proceedings, and all these have links available to you for what's happening this year. We'll talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to start on the main page, but if we get over here to 19 and talk about where we're going to start the story, so to speak, and really the task force itself it was a genesis back 15, probably when I became infrastructure manager in the division. We had a problem that was starting to emerge with the small systems. It's probably not fair to say that it was emerging, because it's been an issue for as long as we've all been around pretty much, but several small systems, small privately owned plants started to have problems in the 15-16. Those systems happened to be regulated by PSC, and then we're going to go through a process of abandonment. So when, I guess it was maybe about the 16 session, they passed House Joint Resolution 56, which set up a committee of people, a lot of stakeholders. The current commissioner was the chair. Commissioner Hatton was the chair of that committee at the time. That committee developed a set of recommendations, but the following year, the legislature created a task force. Actually, the HJR 56 ultimately became the recommendations of HJR 56 became a statutory language, and the cabinet started to develop amendments to Chapter 5, which have still not been promulgated in the regulations, but we did that for for that small systems House Joint Resolution. But then the next upcoming year, a resolution was passed creating this task force. So in the 2019 interim, now the task force was made up of legislative members as well as citizen, well, I guess we'll call them citizen members, but they're rural water, KIA, several legislators, municipal utilities. There were several stakeholders in the 2019 interim edition of the task force. The task force met 5 times in 2019, starting in July to November. The July, it followed kind of this line. July, the cabinet presented information about the problem, about what issues we had for the task force, the condition of infrastructure, where it is, generally speaking, how many plants, what the kind of overall picture is. Then in August, KIA presented the funding perspectives from the SRF, which is why this council, one of the reasons this council exists. In September of 19, Central States Water Resources in the state of Tennessee Comptroller's Office did some presentations for the task force, primarily because Central States is one of those entities that's moved into Kentucky to operate small failing systems. And there's now about probably a dozen or more systems that those private folks are operating. That's a little bit different model than we've seen before, but seems to be successful. The Tennessee Comptroller incidentally deals with asset management and types of things in the state of Tennessee, water loss, particularly for drinking water utilities. The comptroller keeps a handle on that in Tennessee. So the the task force was interested in hearing from them about that. Now, keep in mind from the Division of Water's perspective, and I've already burned up 5 minutes of time. So keep in mind that Peter Goodman was the director at the time, very involved in this. Anyway, we had a presentation for Rural Water PSC KMUA in October, then recommendations in November. I'll briefly call your attention to the recommendations because I can kind of catch up my time by saying 2020 with COVID and the things that have happened. The task force has now met 2 times in 2020 and is meeting tomorrow at 10:30 for the 3rd meeting. Those meetings in 2020 have followed a similar pattern than they did in 19. So first the cabinet presented, actually me and Commissioner Hatton presented to the task force the first time in the 2020 interim. Then they've heard from KIA and PSC, and tomorrow they are going to hear from rural water and municipal utilities. So the pattern is following. I'll kind of bring my talk around to kind of a conclusion by saying it's been a challenging year with COVID. I think the cabinet, so the outcome and kind of wrap up, the recommendations, the A through D of those recommendations that you see on the screen were adopted unanimously by the task force in the previous. Again, you can get to this document directly off of the task force website by going to the meeting materials and looking up the 2019 information. Continuing the work of the task force in A, I think that's going to be ongoing. Establishing and recapitalizing infrastructure. leveraging funds. I mean, that's one of the reasons you all here to meet to talk about funding opportunities and how the SRF plays into that, as well as CDBG and other monies. So we're continuing to look at that. Looking at grants and loans again. I mean, same thing. The B is more to look at maybe establishing something new. There's a lot of challenges right now fiscally, so I don't know about that one. And then best management practices, probably somewhere where the agency has made more progress actually in that the advisory council, the wastewater and drinking water joint advisory council, and those subcommittees on there have been talking about concepts like water loss and asset management, whether or not there would be a support or would be appropriate to consider rules and concerning the financial and managerial regulation or oversight of utilities. So, I mean, it's a big question. Some people do the financial and managerial, which is technically a drinking water concept, okay, not to mix drinking water and wastewater, but that's a big thing. It's asset management and meeting regulatory requirements while properly maintaining things for the future. The compliance with now has always been the highest priority and has always been 8 maybe +% effective. I mean, most of the people are out there, most utilities and folks who have permits are compliant with those permits. So the key is really how do we keep from non-compliance in the future? And that's this planning effort that you all are a part of. To kind of wrap up on the task force, E through H were they were adopted by a majority voice vote. So they received non-unanimous support, but go from things like educational requirements of boards and commissioners to looking at rates and things like that, which some utilities are regulated for rates like by the PSC in Kentucky, and some are not, like municipal utilities. So there's I guess in my parting comment in 11 minutes, Justin. So I'm trying to adhere to my time here.
Great.
That we're moving forward. We're moving some of these concepts forward. I don't think they're incidentally, if I back you up to the main page, unlike the this is what it says why the task force is there. Incidentally, I don't see a mandate. The original iteration of task force was the task force was required to make a report to the legislature by December 31st of 2019. So that memo I showed you those recommendations from served as a report. In this case, I've not heard that there is a report due. Maybe that will change in tomorrow's iteration. The chair has not indicated to me. And a last parting note on the what moving forward is, so I don't know if there will be further wording on the recommendations from the committee this year, or task force this year. I will direct your attention to the bottom that both KIA and the division are now updated, reflected changes from Edith stepping down at KIA and Paul kind of getting up to speed with EOW. Paul is ready to sit in as member on the task force. So we're going to make that transition tomorrow. And Linda, it looks like she's been updated as KIA's rep for that. The Josiah Keats member is actually a Homeland Security person. So this iteration of the task force more legislatively membership heavier to legislative. Is there any, so I'm ran a little long, sorry, a few minutes. Is there any questions, or I hope that was helpful to you?
Thank you, Jory. I think that was very helpful. Any council members have any questions for Mr. Becker?
All right.
Well, again, I appreciate your all's time today, and I appreciate any input that you might have. If you take a look at those recommendations, and they're very broad recommendations. So if you have some specific ideas that fall under those broad recommendations, I mean, the agency is looking at best management practices and certainly looking at improving WRIS and the asset management and of course the process, helping to support the process that y'all are about to talk about. I know the agenda's got the project. So thank you again and appreciate it.
Thanks, Jory.
Thank you so much, Jory.
I might ask you another question on a different topic, though, if you don't mind.
Why, sure.
What about, I'm assuming everybody's, you're still working some shifts or working from home. Kind of how is that process going? If you want to inform us kind of how that's going right now.
Sure. So the agency is still in the same mode that it has been in for a majority of staff since the main part of the pandemic outbreak in April. We are still more or less 100% teleworking. There are staff members that go into the 300 building to assure that checks and any stray pieces of physical mail are gotten to the right place. Our field services, our inspectors and our folks in Russell Neal's group that do sanitary surveys have resumed contact with under a protocol, I guess an approved protocol for transferring documents and things of that nature. So you will see regular inspections, both in distribution as well as in the utilities at the plants, sanitary surveys, all that type of normal work is resuming, albeit in a little bit more cautious and different way of trading the paper and handling some of the things that we have to look at. But other than that, I talked to Paul just a few moments before I got on here, and I would say that we continue to operate, Russ, in this as for the foreseeable future in this mode. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, appreciate that and appreciate you kind of bringing us up to date. And I know we've seen our inspector and things are going very well and all that's worked out fine. And we've even, I know we've had some new construction projects approved, and I have to say we have not really seen a change a lot in timing here at the district myself. So appreciate what you guys do and operating like we are today. So, all right, well, we'll move on down to the water management coordinators report. And Justin, I'm turning it over to you and we'll start talking about new projects, I guess.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Russ. Thank you so much, Jory, for that update. A few things I just want to make sure that we have everybody accounted for, and I've got everybody marked down here, but there's a few that I didn't know. There's a couple telephone numbers. I just want to make sure I got the right person. So as I say these, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and saying who it is, the 533-5096 number. Who is that who's joining us?
It's Jim Bruno.
Hey, okay, Jim. Just want to make sure I didn't hear. All right. And what about the 528-5509 number? Who is that who's joining us?
That's Jeremy Rainey.
Got you, Jeremy. Thank you. And then the Novak, I guess that's Alex Novak. Is that correct, Alex?
That's correct.
All right. And then Rob.
Rob Campbell.
Got you, yes, sir, from QK4. Thank you for joining us. And then the last one I wanted to make sure we got included was Scott's iPad. Is that Scott Fleming?
Yeah, that's Scott Fleming.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Just want to make sure I had everybody. So I'm just going to jump into a few items of business that I needed to discuss. You know that we've been doing the projects, rankings, and everything, and a lot of times the mapping has been coming in really close to these meetings. So I spoke with our executive director and with the divisional staff, and we decided the best thing to do moving forward with this is our meetings are always on the second Tuesday of January, April, July, or October. So we're going to have a new deadline that all mapping components for any new projects that are going to be approved by the council at that upcoming Regional Water Management Council meeting need to be in by the first of that month. So if you have a new project that you need to get approved through the council, we will need that by January 1st, April 1st, July 1st, or October 1st to prepare for those meetings. Because I don't mind helping out last minute. I consider that my job, but it can be kind of nerve wracking, especially when you're making maps last minute and everything. So moving forward, I'll be sure to email everyone this so we have it in a digital copy too. But moving forward, we will need any mapping requirements for new projects that are seeking council approval by the first of the month before our council meeting. So I just want to get that out there for everyone. Thank you so much for that. Next, I just don't have too much besides going around. We just conducted all of our county water management council meetings, went around to all of the 7 counties in our KIPDA region, met with all of you all, got all of your all's meeting, the minutes for the meetings finished, got those sent out to you all, have all the rankings, consolidated all of those county rankings into our regional water and wastewater rankings that we're about to go through after we get these projects approved. We're going to do the projects approval process a little differently as well, since we're not meeting in person anymore. And I like talking to you all, but I feel like sometimes I just ramble those on and, you know, it doesn't give a full detailed explanation of the project. So what I've done is I've made a PowerPoint presentation. We have 18 new projects today that need to be approved by the council. And in the agenda that I sent out, there's listed in that order that we're going to get them approved. But we're going to start with MSD, and Mark Sneeve is going to kick us off today for that process. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone, and we're going to have a PowerPoint presentation of all the new projects.
Great, thanks. Justin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Mark Sneeve with Strand Associates. We're working with Louisville MSD on a project at their Height Creek Water Quality Treatment Center. And during the construction of that project, an opportunity arose to consider a force main diversion. It's called the Meadow Stream Pump Station Diversion Project. And let me set the table here. You're looking at a map with Interstate 71. This is a little northeast of the Gene Schneider Freeway, and right about the Oldham County, Jefferson County line. And in the center of the map is the Osceola South Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant. If you go a little bit up Interstate 71 to the northeast, you get to Crestwood. Crestwood is served by the Meadow Stream Pump Station, which has 2 force mains, essentially paralleling Interstate 71, pumping wastewater just off the lower left side of this image to the MSD Height Creek treatment plant. MSD, as I mentioned, is upgrading the Height Creek treatment plant. There's going to be a lot of stress on the operators during that construction. We're going to take unit processes out of service, tanks out of service. And an opportunity arose to consider a diversion of that Meadow Stream pump station that goes right in front of the Osceola South Regional Treatment Plant to, during periods of stressful construction, send wastewater to the Osceola South Regional Plant. So the green dot is where we'd intercept the force main. It's about 500 feet, 3 valve vaults, flow meter, some controls to deliver wastewater to the Osceola treatment plant. And while we're constructing that, we're also going to put in a temporary pump quick connect where the Osceola treatment plant influent pump station could actually pump their flow down the force main connection to MSD's Height Creek treatment plant, thereby providing some flexibility for both plants in the immediate for MSD Height Creek construction, but in the long term for both facilities. The total project cost is just under $500,000. It's going to be considered as a change order to the current SRF-funded Height Creek treatment plant SRF loan. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. What I guess I suggest we do is we just hear from everyone. And if there's any questions, like Mark just said, we can get those after each person presents on each project. But if there are no questions, we'll just wait and approve all these after the end of it. So do any council members have any questions for Mr. Sneeve regarding this Meadow Stream Pump Station Diversion Project? Sounds like we're good. Thank you, Mark, for that presentation. That was top notch. Very, you covered everything very thoroughly, so appreciate that. And next we will go into the Stephanie Laughlin with the MSD is going to give us their presentation on their projects. And the first one is Admiral Way Pump Station Fish Pool.
Yes, thank you, Justin, and thank you, Mark, for kicking us off there. So the Admiral Way Pump Station Fish Pool Interceptor Capacity Assurance Project. This one's a little over $10 million. It's a capacity assurance project in an area impacted by I&I as well as future customer needs. The project will address both upstream and downstream wet weather overflows as well as dry weather capacity needs through a combination of storage, pump station upgrade, downstream interceptor upsizing, and or targeted I&I mitigation. And I'll just keep going, but please interrupt me if you all have questions. The next one is our Floyd's Fork Interceptor project. This one is estimated just under $50 million. It's 8 miles of interceptor sewer that ranges from 24 to 48 inches between South Pope Lick and Taylorsville roads, generally along Floyd's Fork to close to the Seatonville and Billtown Road intersection. It eliminates the need for multiple pump stations to provide service to the area, as well as creates opportunities for us to eliminate other pump stations. And it provides regionalization opportunities and is consistent with the area facility plan. You want to go on to the next one? It's our large diameter sewer rehab. This one is estimated at $53 million. The project consists of 4 areas that include some of Kentucky's oldest combined sewer infrastructure. Some of these are 150 years old. The rehab will be up to 40,000 linear feet of 8 to 141 inch sewers. It addresses I&I as well as some public safety issues. I will say this is MSD's most urgent need today. We've experienced quite a few emergency failures, expensive emergency failures, and for the last approximately 10 years. Additional voids were discovered under Broadway just last week, so work's actually being done to expedite that portion of a 96-inch segment. And because of the nature of this work, we are going to be utilizing a progressive design build delivery method. All right, Leanne Way and Lake Forest area pump station eliminations. This is a project that's going to eliminate 6 pump stations. Leanne Way is just 1 pump station, and in the Lake Forest area there's 5 pump stations in this area. It'll mitigate multiple SSOs as well as prevent basement backups, address odor complaints, as well as some operational challenges because these stations are past their useful life and present challenges. Next is the Northern Ditch Pump Station replacement. This one is about $19 million. Northern Ditch is a piece of critical infrastructure both for our separate and combined systems. Reliable operation is essential to consent decree project performance for us. The existing facility is undersized and past its useful life. And this project will replace the station with modern equipment, improve safety, as well as address odor issues in the neighborhood. And then just two more. The Patty's Run flood pump station capacity upgrades. This is a $73 million project. We will be constructing a new pump station to replace the existing pump station and provide upgraded capacity to approximately 1900 MGD. This facility also serves as the outfall for Bell's Lane when the river is up. It protects over 36,000 people from flooding. And I'll also say that this project is a component of the USACE feasibility study that is wrapping up this month. And because there will likely be a cost share agreement for the construction of that overall project moving forward, we are cognizant of that, and there will be no overlap in federal funding between SRF and the Corps. And last but not least is the Mockingbird Valley treatment plant elimination in Oldham County. What's that? Sorry, I thought I heard somebody. It eliminates outdated and deficient treatment plant. It's consistent with Oldham County's facility plan, and the intent is to convey flows to KSR through a pump station and 5,000 feet of new force main. And it's in line with efforts to eliminate small treatment plants.
Great job, Stephanie. You covered a lot there.
Thanks.
Does any council members have any questions for Stephanie before we move on to the Angels Envy project in Henry County? All right, great work, Stephanie. Very good job presenting. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next we have Terry Roach with Carrollton Utilities, and he is going to give us an overview of the Angels Envy Sanitary Sewer Extension Project.
Great, thanks, Justin. So you can see the applicant is the Henry County Fiscal Court. The project will eventually discharge to Carrollton Utilities System in Campbellsburg. It's about 14,000 feet of 6-inch and a pump station there. Right now, Angels Envy is currently constructing three warehouses, I guess, are at this point. And that facility is about halfway between Campbellsburg and Newcastle. We're looking at several funding options, as you can see there at the bottom. And it's just going to be a nice project for that area to also allow some folks along that section to get sewer service if they want to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Terry. Any council members have any questions for Mr. Roach before we move on?
Terry, is looks like the majority of that's all force main. How will those folks connect onto that?
They would have to use grinder pumps.
Grinder pumps?
Yes, sir. We have a big regional force main that comes out of Campbellsburg that we have probably 20, 30 people on that one with grinder pumps.
Gotcha. Okay. And is, just curiosity, is Angels Envy, are they participating in the project at all?
Yes, so they're working with the Henry County on paying back any loan that might have to be generated with SRF. So they're working through that with Henry County.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Next, we have the Hunter's Hollow. Dave Derrick. Engineer Dave Derrick is going to be the presenter on this one. This is Hunter's Hollow Pump Station and Force Main Project in Bullitt County. And Dave, are you with us? Saw him. There he is. Good afternoon, Mr. Derrick.
Okay, does that unmute me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right. Let me give you a synopsis of this project. The community of Hunters Hollow is in northern Bullitt County, east of Interstate 65. For about 40 or 50 years, it was served exclusively by privately owned Hunters Hollow sewer system. And several of you may remember about 5 years ago, that collection system conveyed all the sewage from about 700 mostly single-family residential customers to a packaged treatment plant alongside Brooks Run. It was a circular steel field-erected extended aeration plant, and about 5 years ago, it structurally collapsed, dumping all its mixed liquor into Brooks Run, seriously polluting that stream. And then we had 700 customers with no sewage treatment. So the Division of Water required the private owners to bring in a couple of temporary portable treatment plants for about a year, treat at least the dry weather sewage. There's a lot of infiltration in the system, so they weren't able to treat all the wet weather sewage, but the dry weather sewage they treated. And then the Bullitt County Sanitation District put in a temporary pumping station, several temporary force mains, and was able to pump the dry weather sewage to 3 different treatment plants, small plants that they operate in northern Bullitt County. And that's the way the situation is right now. We can't pump all the wet weather flows, so on wet days, we do have a sanitary sewer overflow at the site of the former plant. The problem it creates is we are stressing those 3 plants with this additional flow going to them. It causes some performance issues with the plant and uses up most of the reserve capacity. So the plan is to build a pumping station near the site of the former Hunters Hollow treatment plant, 1,000 gallon per minute pumping station, and pump through a 10-inch force main north a little over a mile to a new interceptor sewer that MSD has just completed. It comes south across Mud Lane to the Bullitt County, Jefferson County line. It's a 24-inch gravity sewer, and we will be discharging then all of the flow from the Hunters Hollow system into that sewer line, therefore taking the stress off of 3 plants that are splitting the flow now, freeing up some passing those plants, and also eliminating a somewhat frequent sanitary sewer overflow at the site of the old plant. It's a little over $2 million project. Questions?
Great synopsis, Dave. You really covered it. Any council members have any questions for Mr. Derrick? This is a very much needed and large project, and we really appreciate you taking this on with Bullitt County Sanitation District. Thank you for that overview of it. And it sounds like no more. All right. No questions on that one. Thank you, Mr. Derrick. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome.
Moving along, we have Mount Washington. These are the Snap Street Improvements Project. And today we're going to have Holly Nicholas give an overview of the 2 Mount Washington projects. Holly, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
You can?
Yes. Hi, Holly.
The Snap Street project involves replacing about 2,400 linear feet of existing sanitary sewers along Snap Street in Mount Washington. The current sanitary sewer is clay tile pipe, and it breaks a lot. There's a lot of I&I associated with it. And there are no storm sewers along this street, and they do have some flooding issues during heavy rains. And so the proposal is to install around 2,100 linear feet of storm sewer. And this is a pretty busy area from a pedestrian standpoint. There's a new library, there's a city hall, there's several churches in this area. So the city wants to replace the sidewalks as part of the project too. So they tear everything up one time and one time only, hopefully. The project cost is around almost $1.8 million. And that's pretty much, that one's pretty simple.
We'll go ahead and go on to the Clearview Acres Sanitary Sewer Extension Project
Okay.
now, Holly.
Yeah, the Clearview Acres, primarily there is force main in that area now, and it's a little too small, and it's undersized for the number of homes that are in that area now. So it is proposed that we're going to install 12-inch and 15-inch gravity sewers, almost 6,000 linear feet of the two, which will allow the city to take a pump station offline and replace the force main. And there will be a little bit of force main still in the project, and that will be replaced too. And again, it's clay tile, and it's quite old. I think it's clay tile, but I'm not sure on that one. But they do have some I&I issues in that area. And it's a little more expensive. It's about almost $1.9 million.
Thank you so much for that, Holly. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be huge for Mount Washington to get those clay tile pipes. I know they're very old and very problematic. So these are both two very much needed projects. And I know Ronnie Fick has been wanting to get these accomplished for some time now. So good work
Right.
on that. And do any council members have any questions for Holly for these two projects? All right. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Nicholas.
right.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Moving along, we're going to go to Lebanon Junction in Bullitt County, where we have Matt Curtis with Bluegrass Engineering today. He is going to be the presenter on these two sewer projects for Lebanon Junction. The first is the Northwest Sanitary Sewer System Extension. Matt, are you with us today?
Yes, thanks, Justin. Can you all hear me? The Northwest Sanitary Sewer System Extension for the City of Lebanon Junction has a projected project cost of $700,000, and it would extend sanitary sewer service via low pressure sewer system along the northwest portion of city limits along West Airport Road and Dennis Drive, and then connect back in along Main Street to the existing 8-inch gravity sewer that ultimately flows to the main lift station and then on to the treatment plant. There's approximately 30 homes that are unserved that their wastewater is treated via on-site treatment, presumed to be septic, lagoons, and then in some cases straight pipes. The projects are roughly 1.5 miles of force mains, varying in sizes from 4-inch to 1.5 inches. It's pretty much a straightforward extension project.
Thank you, Matt. Moving on to the next project for Lebanon Junction Sewer, we have the West Oak Street Interceptor Project. Go ahead, Mr. Curtis.
The West Oak Street Interceptor Sewer Project is simply to alleviate an area of their sewer system that is prone to surcharging due to I&I. Currently, the city is working in-house to address the I&I issues upstream of this area. The West Oak Street Interceptor is located just sort of north of downtown, along one of the crossings of the CSX railway. The 12-inch line, proposed 12-inch line, will be installed as the main sewer line and utilize the existing 8-inch sewer as a surcharge line. It would handle any surcharging events and then ultimately dump back in and once again be transported to the main lift station and then on to the treatment plant.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that overview. Any council members have any questions for these two Lebanon Junction sewer projects? Pretty straightforward in nature, but very much needed for this rural area of Boyle County. Any questions? Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate that synopsis and appreciate you calling in today for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving along, we have our only water projects to be approved. Kind of dominated by sewer today, but today we have the Hunter Road Waterline Replacement Project for the City of Taylorsville Water. And we have Kevin Sizzler with Sizzler and Maggard Engineering will be presenting on this one. Kevin, are you with us?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you.
Good. Get to talk about a little clean water instead of the dirty water. This project's going to replace an existing problem line that they have. We installed a pump station about a year ago for the city, and they've got some lines that are not liking the added water line pressure. So the Hunter Road project is replacing about a mile of 6-inch class 160 PVC pipe with 6-inch C900 pipe, and it'll help push the higher pressure to the east side of Spencer County. And we're looking at a cost of about $130,000 on that project.
The next one is Mount Washington Road Water Project. Go ahead, Mr. Sizzler.
Okay. This project is going to also replace old class 160 6-inch pipe with C900 pipe, and it's going to extend on Mount Washington Road from State Route 623 east all the way to the city limits. And this water project will help their overall operation of their system and spread water all the way through the eastern part of the county for the city of Taylorsville. And I think it's estimated about $500,000.
Thank you, sir. And the last one here we have is Rice Lane Loop Water Project.
Yes, this project will doing the same thing. It's replacing about 3 miles of 3- and 4-inch class 160 pipe. It's another area that's not liking the added pressure out on the eastern end of the county, and this project's going to help the operating of the system also and get some clean water out there. And it's estimated about $350,000.
Any questions for Mr. Sizzler on these 3 water projects for the city of Taylorsville and Spencer County? Thank you, Mr. Sizzler. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
For our last final project for the afternoon, we have the Shelbyville 36-inch gravity sewer project. Mr. Tom Doyle had something come up and could not present on this today, so I'm going to be covering it. It's Shelbyville Municipal Sewer is the applicant. The total project cost is around $6,708,000. Shelbyville is currently, our last meeting in July, we approved their project for a new wastewater treatment plant. They're in dire need of that right now for their capacity demands. And in order to do that, they need a new transmission main. So this project will be addressing that need for them. The new main will reduce flow from the current plant conveyance system that has several sanitary sewer overflows during heavy flow periods. And it's going to construct a new 36-inch gravity sewer main to the new Shelbyville wastewater treatment plant. The scope of the project also includes eliminating 2 sewage pumping stations. And like I already said, this is in dire need, and they need this in order to move forward with their wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant was around $33 million. They're looking at some EDA funding and local match with that. And then with this project, they're going to use our help to apply for a state revolving fund loan for the $6,708,000. And that's all I have on that one. Tom says he apologizes not to be able to make it, but he definitely needs this approved. So there are all of our projects. Do we have any questions for anyone for those 18 projects? No
All right.
question.
Well, appreciate everybody keeping it to a minimum, and I think we did a really good job of covering all those. So at this point, I think we'd be looking for a motion. If the board's okay with approving all these projects at one time, be looking for a motion from someone to approve all of the attached projects at once.
Russ, I'll make that motion. Scott Treese.
Scott Treese got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion, Justin, if I can.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge Jerry Summers.
All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like it passed unanimously. So thank you very much, and thanks everyone for your patience. These were certainly needed projects that we needed to get on the list. So we're down to the rankings, and Jared, if you want to Justin, if you want to kind of go through and explain the ranking process. This is how we've done it for the last several years. It's worked really well. And if you want to explain how we do that with the revolving around from county to county, real quick for everyone, and then we can move forward.
Sure. So starting in the end of August, Zach Herzog, our GI specialist, and myself began scheduling all of our county water management council meetings. That's where we go around to each one of the counties and we discuss what the priorities are for you all and what projects that you all would like to see help get funded that year. So we have now concluded all of those. Zach and I went around to all of those, got all the water and wastewater projects, and then how we then score those with your all's assistance with a score sheet that I sent out to all the systems. And then how we do that is we rank them so everybody has skin in the game. So we have one from each county, the second priority from each county. And that's the way that we rank those. So I consolidated all of the county water management council meetings and all of those projects into one. And then we made that list for the regional rankings. And I sent out all those to you all yesterday. We're still working on some of the scoring of that last minute. I apologize. I got that to you at 4:30 with all the scores included on there. But so yeah, we have all of those ranked. I hope everyone has had a chance to review those, go over them. And I'm having a little issue with sharing them right now for some reason. But hold on one second. It's not wanting to not wanting to do it this time. I had no issues with the PowerPoint, but can anybody see that?
We got you.
You see it now?
Yes.
Got it. All right, wonderful. So these are our fiscal year 21 KIPDA regional drinking water project priority rankings that I sent out to everyone yesterday. I don't want to go over each one of them. We have 28 projects on here. I didn't get any scathing emails from anyone saying, what's this one doing on there or anything. So I think we have the order correct. We can go over the first ones if everyone wants to real quick.
So you kind of explained the process of how you got there, but you might explain why one project would score higher, but is further down the list.
Sure. That reasoning is mainly because of funding purposes. There may be a project. We had an example of that in Oldham County. Their Mockingbird treatment plant that's a new project. They definitely want that eliminated, taken offline, but they already have the lift station rehab replacement project, which is, they're going to be going for SRF funding. So all these projects are for funding purposes to get the state revolving fund loan application in. So even though one may rank higher and have a higher score than the other and maybe a higher priority, these are the projects that have the most funding priority for everyone right now. So that's why you may see one with a lower score but a higher priority.
It's also done just to be more equitable across the region. So everybody gets their top projects before it moves into the second county project. So each county gets their top #1 project before it switches to their #2 project.
Exactly. Thank you, Jared. That's kind of where I was headed, is that every county gets their #1 project put on the list first, then #2, 3, and so forth. So, and thankfully, Justin has already gone down and put all these in order for us, so we don't have to sit here and do that today. So with that being said, if nobody has any questions about the rankings that were sent out earlier, we could entertain a motion to approve. Let's start with the clean water projects, to a motion to approve the clean water projects.
Or you mean the ones that are on here drinking or clean? You want to?
Well, I guess you started with the drinking water. Let's start with that then. So motion to approve the drinking water projects for FY21.
I can make a
This is Tim
motion.
Judge Summers made the motion.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. We have a second.
Jim Gruno seconds the motion.
Thank you, Jim. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. So the drinking water projects are approved. You can go ahead and pull up you've got the clean water project pulled up now. And Justin, if you've got any comments about those as well.
Not too much. Don't want to be too redundant. Just we did this the same way through the County Water Management Council meeting process. We ranked all of them on the county level, and then so everyone would have equal prioritization, and we ordered it that way. And the only system there was Spencer County didn't have any clean water, so that's why you don't see Spencer on here if anybody was wondering. But 1 through 6, and then we would start back over 2 in that category. But yeah, so I sent these out yesterday. Everybody's had a chance to review and look them over. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, seeing no questions, so we would accept a motion to approve the clean water projects for FY21.
It's Judge Ison. Can I make that motion?
Thank you, Judge. We have a second.
Second, Keith Griffey.
Thank you, Keith. So we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If none, all in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, so we've approved the clean water projects unanimously as well. We've kind of gone a little bit longer than we normally want to, but we're down to county updates and other business. And any counties have any projects or comments they want to make, certainly feel free to speak up. I see we have Edith here as well, and I want to say hi to Edith and ask her if she has any comments to make as well. So thank you, Edith.
Russ, I see that we also have Linda Bridwell.
Yes.
Yeah, Linda, and then Debbie Landrum is also another KIA. She's our regional coordinator. I want to thank her, thank Edith, Linda, and Debbie. Thank each of those ladies for being on this meeting today. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate your all's time.
Sure. Edith, I don't know if you're muted, but we can't hear you. Okay, we're having some audio problems with it.
Yeah, I think Edith's been having problems with her computer microphone, so sorry about that.
Bummer. So, all right. Any comments from anybody else?
Russ, this is Jim Gruno. I have one.
Yes, Jim.
I wanted to announce that I have plans to retire August 1st of next year, 2021. And as part of our succession planning, we've selected Jeremy Rainey to be the Director of Engineering for Louisville Water, my replacement. And Jeremy's on the line listening to the meeting today. And I guess the thing I was wanting to point out is that going forward, he will represent the Bullitt County Water Management Council on this KIPDA regional meeting. And I'll still be around, obviously, but just not, or just fade away a little bit. That's it.
All right. Well, our condolences to Jeremy and congratulations to you. So,
thank you.
All right. And Jeremy, we look forward to having you at our meetings.
Thank you. Look forward to the opportunity.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, Justin, I think that gets us down to our adjournment. We've done a really good job. We had a lot to cover today and really appreciate everybody. We've tried to keep it as close to an hour as we could. So, with that being said, we'll accept a motion to adjourn and a second. So we have Scott made a motion and we have a second by somebody.
Arthur?
Second.
There we go. Thank you. All right. Motion approved. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
So long.